Behind me is my grandfather's 1967 Corvette Stingray. He's had the car since 1969, and technically it's had 3 owners. The first owner was a nefarious college professor who, after a vacation trip down to Florida, may have come back with some illicit drugs and material, and when pulled over by the police for breaking out the windows of a Dodge dealership, he actually was placed in prison temporarily, and my great-grandfather towed this car. It sat there for maybe about 7 or 8 months. When the guy got out, he said, "Keep the car, I'm going back." I don't know if he went back to his job or not, but he left. He's gone. Now, as beautiful of a car as this is, it's worth mentioning this is kind of a family car. The kids used to climb in the back on the way to the grocery store. My dad learned to drive in this car. I learned how to drive a manual car in this car. All of that while neglecting to mention that the C2 Corvette is one of the most desirable collector items in the world. Now, starting off with, I think the coolest but probably most underappreciated aspect of this car are the headlights. Now, while it might appear that this car does not have headlights and just has a beautiful nose coming to a T, this actually does have headlights. It comes from one of the greatest inventions ever, pop-up up and down headlights. Now, there's 2 switches inside the car where you flip open the headlights and then also turn the headlights on, or just turn them on and they flip up. Now, since we're talking about lights, I thought I'd mention the turn signals. So there's nothing really special about these, but one thing my grandfather always taught me, that it was a little bit weird to put screws on the top and bottom and not the left and right. So a lot of times when the front end of these cars were crashed, you can kind of tell because the people who put it back together will change that to have the screws on the left and right. So I want to take a brief moment to acknowledge these beautiful rally wheels. Now, these little chrome plates are kind of a pain to get on and off, but they look so delectable. Now let's talk about the paint. Now, this is a green car. It was originally a green car, and it went through a couple iterations of paint. One was this kind of psychedelic paint job on the body panels. After my grandfather's brother ran into it, they needed some repair done, and the guy next door said, "You know, I'll do it if you let me do this weird psychedelic paint job." His name was David Slider the Spider. Quite a character, and I kind of like that. But eventually he went to red, and then he was, I think, gonna go to yellow or something. But he was like, someone should bring it back to its original green color, and I like this color. I also want to point out the easiest way to tell that this is a 67 Corvette. It's got these 5 gills here. No other Corvette has these 5 gills here. It kind of sounds funny. It kind of sounds like fiberglass, because it is fiberglass. The whole thing is fiberglass, which you probably knew if you know Corvettes, but it's kind of incredible that this car wasn't made out of a big hunk of steel or metal or something like that. It's just fiberglass, which makes it really light. All right, now we're here at the butt of the car. This is the part of the car that in the 60s you're probably most familiar with, because the car will be flying by you. All you'll see is the rear end. Now, if you know these cars, you'll notice something, I wouldn't say wrong, but different. It's got 6 tail lights. It's got 3 and 3. Most of these C2s, they had 2 and 2. This third one right here on the edge was not stock to this car, but you know, the previous owner cut out a hole in here and, you know, stuck another tail light in here, and we've just kind of kept it like that through all the iterations of this car. And I think it looks kind of cool. I think it kind of, don't quote me on this, but I kind of think it looks like the Grand Sport C2s, where they had a bunch of holes back here, I assume for like weight reduction. I doubt aerodynamics. I think it was weight reduction in a place where aerodynamics doesn't really matter, but it had holes all the way across here. And I thought that looked pretty cool. So it kind of also looks like a 64 Impala rear end. Another key way to tell that this is a 67 Corvette is the reverse lights. Let me get this right. The 67 had 2 rectangular kind of meeting in the middle lights back here, just like you're seeing. Whereas the 66 and 65, they had the reverse lights on the inner tail lights, where these would have been, And then the 64 and 63, they didn't have reverse lights. They weren't so super strict back then, I guess. But, you know, this is the only one that has them right in the middle, and you can immediately tell that it's a 67. Now, a lot of people go side pipes on these things, but I think the rear pipes integrated with the rear bumper looks really good. Now, a lot of people dismiss, especially new build Corvettes, as having cheap interiors. And while it is true, GM interior build quality can lack a little bit of, of esteem, I think this is probably my favorite interior of any car. I think it looks kind of European, kind of sports car-y. I think it looks really good. It has these beautiful black leather seats, this incredible wood grain steering wheel, and this chrome gear shifter. Now let's talk about the gear shifter for a second. Now this is a 4-speed, first, second, third, fourth. The interesting thing about this car is to get into reverse, you go over to the left, pull up on this thing, and then go forward. It's kind of weird, but reverse is the best place to leave this car parked and in gear. So, when you let off, it doesn't go rolling. Now, as I mentioned, I think this car looks like kind of your European spec sports car. Well, people will argue, is this a sports car? Is this a muscle car? I think it has kind of the raw edge. Let's talk about this clutch, because this clutch is definitely a muscle car clutch. It is heavy. I mean, I don't know how heavy this is, but you're gonna have a big left leg when you're done driving this car. Now, before I pop the hood on this beast, let's talk about the hood. It has a silver stripe going right down the middle. Now, this was a recommendation by the guy who painted it green, and I think it looks kind of cool. I think it looks kind of sleek. It looks a little European. My inclination with talking about the engine is to specify that this is just a 327. And that is kind of a ridiculous statement, because yes, well, the 67 did have the 427 option. You don't need anything more than 350 horsepower in this old of a car. You don't need 350 horsepower in any car. Finally got it in reverse. Alright, the clutch grabs really weird, so I just kind of took off, and I'm a little too close to the pedals right now. Let me see if I can adjust the seat. Okay, I adjust the seat back. Maybe that'll help improve my driving abilities. The throttle is really responsive. It's a little shaky, but it's responsive. And then, I don't think we're gonna go around in the neighborhood, but shifting this thing, it has the clickiest shifter.
Oh my gosh.
It just clicks in and out of gear. Here, let's see if it'll do it. Oh, it just clicks. That was a little awkward on the clutch because the floor mat got stuck on the brake, but that's okay. So, not gonna drive it too crazy today, obviously, but it's a super fun little car, and it's old, but it still gets down really nice, so. Go back home, put this thing back in its hole. This thing could be really dangerous. Luckily, it's not in incredible wrong hands, but it's kind of in wrong hands, so I'm just gonna take it nice and easy. Nice little shift up to second, nothing crazy. Getting a dirty look from an old lady, but that's okay. So that's my grandfather's 1967 Corvette Stingray. One of the most beautiful, sought after cars, and it's sitting right next to me. So thanks for watching.